Hello, welcome to HollyBuzz. We are back with another video, and today we're going to talk about Brian McKnight, who just proved how cold blood runs in his veins. While his son Niko fought for his last breaths against cancer, the R&B legend was too busy disowning his product of sin to say goodbye. This isn't just family drama, it's a heartbreak scandal tearing Hollywood apart. The final betrayal. Niko McKnight's final months were a desperate battle, not just against the aggressive cancer ravaging his body, but against a lifetime of his father's cold rejection. As tubes and monitors surrounded him in that sterile hospital room, the young man's deepest wish wasn't for a miracle cure. It was for a single moment of warmth from the man whose voice had filled concert halls, but never his own heart. Swallowing immense pain and pride, Niko reached out to Brian McKnight. His plea was heartbreakingly simple: to end their bitter feud, to hear the words "I love you" just once before the darkness closed in. Brian's response wasn't just silence, it was cruelty weaponized. He coldly informed his dying son that love couldn't be given arbitrarily. While Niko gasped for breath, haunted by the specter of his father's abandonment, Brian remained utterly absent. No phone calls pierced the hospital quiet. No visits disrupted the vigil kept by Niko's devoted mother, Julie, and his loyal brother, Brian Jr. Not even a bouquet of flowers arrived to acknowledge his son's suffering. Behind the scenes, sources confirm Brian's abandonment was absolute. While publicly hinting he'd offered help, the truth was stark. Brian McKnight chose to erase Niko entirely. He turned his back on his child's agonizing fight, leaving him to face death feeling utterly unloved and discarded by the man whose blood he shared. This wasn't neglect. It was a deliberate, final act of disownment, severing the last fragile thread between father and son as Niko slipped away. The poisonous legacy. Brian McKnight's cruelty toward his eldest children wasn't a momentary lapse. It was a calculated, years-long campaign of rejection. Long before Niko's tragic passing, Brian had already branded his first 4 children, Niko, Brian Jr., Brianna, and Clyde, as nothing more than products of sin, as if their very existence was a stain on his life. He didn't just distance himself, he publicly disowned them, rewriting his will to erase them entirely while lavishing attention on his new family. His disdain wasn't silent. He openly called his own flesh and blood evil, blaming them for his unhappiness, as if their mere presence was a curse he needed to escape. When his daughter Brianna fought back, suing him for defamation after he spread horrific accusations about her, he didn't apologize. Instead, he settled quietly, then smugly declared victory, as if paying her off proved his innocence. And while Niko fought for his life, Brian doubled down on his cruelty. On social media, he flaunted his new children, declaring he would only acknowledge those he was proud of, as if his eldest were nothing but a shameful memory to be buried. His words weren't just dismissive, they were a public execution of a father's love. For Brian McKnight, family wasn't unconditional, it was disposable. And in the end, his legacy won't be his music, but the trail of broken hearts he left behind. The deathbed exploitation. The moment Niko McKnight drew his final breath on May 29th, a stark contrast in grief unfolded, one of genuine mourning versus performative cruelty. Brian McKnight's brother, Claude, courageously broke the devastating news in a raw, tear-filled TikTok tribute. With anguish etched across his face, Claude remembered Niko not as a footnote in a family feud, but as a radiant soul. Ridiculously talented, an amazing singer and guitar player with a photographer's gifted eye. He called him someone you always wanted to be around, a light extinguished far too soon. Claude's voice cracked as he acknowledged there's so much hurt going on within the family, unspoken wounds that festered until it was too late to heal them. His tribute was a gut-wrenching plea for love amid tragedy. Brian McKnight's response was immediate and venomous. Within days, he weaponized his grief in a cold Instagram voiceover. He branded Claude's tribute tasteless and self-aggrandizing, accusing his own brother of turning Niko's death into a circus and a reality show-type drama. Instead of joining Niko's mother, siblings, and wife in their actual mourning, Brian fled to Maui with his new wife and her children. There, on a sun-drenched beach, they staged a private memorial, complete with Niko's name etched in the sand, a bottle of liquor, and a tropical lei. The optics were jarring, a vacation masquerading as a vigil. But Brian didn't stop at attacking Claude. He savagely targeted Julie, Niko's devoted mother, labeling her the self-proclaimed Mama Bear. In a chilling condemnation, he claimed she blocked his supposed offers of elite medical help, declaring, "May God have mercy on your soul." This public shaming of a grieving mother, posted for millions to see, came while Julie was planning her son's real funeral, surrounded by those who truly cherished Niko. As Brian filmed palm trees and poured blame, Julie, Brian Jr., and Niko's widow Carla were navigating unimaginable loss, clinging to the abundance of love that had actually comforted Niko in his final days. Brian's performance wasn't just exploitation, it was a calculated desecration of his son's memory. The truth explodes. The facade of Brian McKnight's supposed offers to help Niko crumbled under scrutiny. Reliable sources confirmed no elite oncologist was ever arranged, no specialists were on standby, and no genuine medical assistance was extended to Niko during his grueling cancer battle. Julie, Niko's mother, held no legal barriers preventing Brian from visiting, yet he chose absence over reconciliation. Niko's own words on social media pierced through the lies. "I miss my family. We saved that man from federal prison." Even as death loomed, Niko protected his father's secrets, refusing to publicly expose the full truth of Brian's past actions. In return, Brian weaponized Instagram, blaming Julie for blocking his non-existent help and accusing his brother Claude of exploiting Niko's death for attention. This smear campaign, launched days after Niko's passing, revealed a chilling priority: protecting his image, not honoring his son. Final judgment. Brian McKnight's legacy is now etched in infamy. He traded his dying son for a newborn bearing his name, a wife who amplified his vendettas, and a staged memorial on Maui's beaches, complete with liquor and tropical leis, while Niko's body lay unburied. His cruelty, however, ignited a firestorm. Fans are burning his albums, streaming platforms face boycott demands, and Hollywood insiders label him a monster and narcissist. Critics highlight his name change to match his infant son, a deliberate erasure of his firstborn Brian Jr., as proof of his moral bankruptcy. As venues cancel his shows and brands distance themselves, the Back at One singer faces a crushing downfall, not from scandal, but from the weight of his own choices. His final note? Disgrace, echoing louder than any song he ever wrote.